Hi, everybody in the Get Real circle. Hey, I am just popping in randomly tonight because I've had a few people who have said they're excited to be part of our group and they don't really know what they're supposed to do in the group. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about why this started. You can watch this live or later. I know I didn't give anybody any warning that this was actually going to be happening, so the majority of you will probably be watching the replay. But I wanted to give you a little bit of the backstory. I don't think I've ever really done that with our Get Real Circle. So about 6 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago, I made the decision to finally get serious about my own contribution, my own business, my coaching and consulting and speaking business, because I've been just kind of I've had a really successful business that's been really fun, but I felt a little restless and like there's something else that I could be doing, and I wasn't really sure how to focus it. I'm feeling like I need to rebrand, and I'm even considering getting rid of the name of my business and starting over. So I was in this kind of restless, weird place, and I got together with a guy named Chris Angel, and Chris has a company called Groundswell. It's a marketing company. And because I finally decided to pull the trigger with Chris, he has rocked my world in so many ways in this 5 weeks I've been in class with him. And one of the assignments has been to post about who I am, post on Facebook who I am through video and writing, and just get really clear with who I am so that I can attract my ideal clients. Not because I think I should be a certain way, but because I am who I am. So part of that process was to start posting different videos. And at the end of the videos, you have to have a call to action. And I've been posting videos for years and just talking and doing stuff, but I never have a call to action because I'm never really clear on what action I'm calling people to. So because of this project, I'd created something to send people to. And my dream forever has been to create a place where people can come together and practice being real in a space that would allow them to make mistakes and to be supportive and supported by other people who are up to the same thing. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And on May 14th, which was 2 weeks ago tonight, or I guess it was in the morning on the 14th, I created this place. And we were calling it Get Real. We called it Get Real, and we didn't really know what we were doing with it. And we were a little bit squishy. And I started inviting people who I thought would be interested in being part of this project and to figure it out as we go. There are people in the world who need things to be figured out before they'll join. And then there are people who want to be part of creating something. I get that. We're not created. We're not done. We're not polished. We're still in the process of that. But as we started that, Chris, my coach and the instructor of the course, said, so tell me what you're up to. What is something that you've created or you've done? And I said, I have a course called Real Impact. And Real is an acronym for radical, energized, authentic, and learning based. And he said, that's it. Whatever you do, it's got to be real. And so we're playing around with different names about things that will be coming in the next, I'm going to say over the summer. It will become much more clear what I'm doing and what I'm up to. And so this whole REAL acronym is what it's going to be. And real, radical, energized, authentic, and learning based will be what we're up to and what we're calling it. So thanks for Facebook user who says fun. Now, you guys, I'm using this new platform, and you have to accept the invitation to be part of this new group, Streamway, so that I can tell who you are and so that your names can pop up on the screen. Let me give you an example. Whoever is the Facebook user that just said fun, see how that shows up? And if you say you accept that your picture will be there, I can show people who it is. It's kind of a fun little live opportunity to look more like a talk show, which is what I want to do. I have this dream to create a talk show. You might not know this about me, but you will sooner or later. One of my huge heroes is Oprah. And I just think Oprah is the best question asker and does a super great job at interviewing. So I'd really like to use her as my avatar or one of my inspirations. So you guys who are saying hi, awesome. Where do I accept? Okay, Chris. So I don't know how to tell you how it looks on your end, but you can see on the screen it says it's Chris Angel. And there's apparently something, I can see that it says Facebook user and I can see that it's generic, but there's something in the upper right-hand corner that says you have to accept that it will use your name. And I only know from my end that I had to do it one time when I was using this platform. And then after that, everywhere else you use it, it shows up as your name. So I can't say more than that. Today we did a kind of a trial run with a couple people and they helped me figure some things out with it. And it's a really cool platform that will allow us to do some fun things, but I won't know it's you till you do something on your end. So just FYI about that. And I'll hide that. But Chris, actually, you know what I can do, Chris? If you're here right now, this is kind of funny, but I can actually invite you to join me. So hang on a second. I'm going to do a couple little maneuvers here and go over here and send you, Chris, an invitation. And I'm going to just say, click on this when you get it and come and join me. Okay. So I'm going back to what I'm up to. All right, so I'm back. Yes, it works now. See, Chris, this is what it'll look like. There you are. Chris Angel, does it work now? It sure does. So I don't know what you did, but if you would accept my invitation, Chris, you can come on and join me. Dawn, you did a super job today inviting people. You were amazing. And you can see this is Dawn Mant, but Dawn, you have to accept the invitation or accept that up in the right-hand corner, it says to allow Streamway to use your name so that we can know it's you when you pop in. So Chris, I sent you a Facebook Messenger invitation. So if you can just go accept that Facebook Messenger invitation, we'll just kind of play around with this. And I'd love to hear from you, Chris, how this came to be for me, because you were instrumental in this happening for me. So Reel is kind of near and dear to my heart because through this process I've been working on with Chris, it's causing me to get kind of raw and authentic and talk about who I am and who I'm being so that I can attract people to me who are like me. Yes, you might have to be on the computer rather than a phone. I think that might be true. So that might be something to know in the future for anybody who's saying that. Dawn, if you're on your phone, I don't know if it'll work. And so Chris, did you get the invitation yet? Because I would love to have you join me. So it would be on another Facebook Messenger platform or post somewhere if you can see that and join me. Dawn, we had, I can't remember how many, but we're up to 708 members today, thanks to your efforts in inviting a lot of your favorite people. That's what I love about who we're being when we attract people who are like us, because I don't know some of the people. I know some of them, Dawn, but I don't know all of them. But I totally trust that if they're friends of yours, they'll be friends of our circle, because that's how we do this. That's the beauty of expansion. And what's cool about being real in this case, it's multiplication, not just addition. We multiply our efforts when we invite and attract like-minded people to us. So Dawn says, I don't see a way to adopt this platform. So I don't know. And I'm going to, Chris Angel.
What?
I
We're
don't
so techie.
Oh, yes, I do. Wait. I do. Hey.
Hey.
Isn't this the coolest ever?
Yeah. Is the sound okay?
Yeah. It's like a radio talk show or a TV talk show.
Go ahead, caller. What's your question?
So Chris, would you tell from your perspective what you observed in this process of the Get Real movement? Because this is, I didn't expect this. I don't know if you did, but this has been like, wow, groundswell.
It is a groundswell. What I've noticed with you in the group, or what I've noticed with you in your message, or which part?
Well, I was trying to tell people before you got on why this happened. And this is all because of you. Oh. So 5 weeks ago, when I made the decision, we had a conversation on a Friday and we started class on Monday. Something in the timing and in who you were being then and who I was being then made this the right time. And so I got really raw and real and dug in, and a lot has happened in the 5 weeks I've been in class with you. And so,
Yeah.
what are you seeing?
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind in what I saw on you is like you were already consistently posting and you've already done so much work to have a message. I feel like what you did was you sort of fine tuned how you shared. I feel like
Mm,
you started to get a little bit more vulnerable from your own experience.
mm,
And if you look at any of your posts in the last several weeks, you can see that transition.
hmm Well, it
And
was almost
go ahead.
permission from you.
Yeah, it's not funny, like
I
how
know, right?
sometimes it just helps to have an outside an outside voice be like, hey, try this.
Well, and what was
Um,
really funny,
yeah,
I didn't realize it till that one post that you kind of picked apart of mine. And I
yeah.
thought the story of this is going to be so funny to people who know me. Hi, Amy. Look at this. I can go. Amy Fitzgerald just joined us. What?
Yeah, what's up,
Hello.
Amy?
Yahoo. um I did a post because I do good posts, right? I'm perfect. I mean, I do good work.
Yeah,
I write
yeah.
really well and
Mhm.
blah blah blah. So I did this post and it was all good and nice, and then you have to post it for everybody who is listening to this. You have to post it into the closed Facebook group, which is the class that we're taking. And Chris took my post and said, good, and what if you did
Uh,
this? What if you did this? And you just ripped it apart. And I went, crap, it's a lot better when you do it like that. And so then you really almost gave me permission to get even more raw, I think.
yeah, I think that's what resonates. So then to the second part of your question, like this is what I think people are hungry for, and this
Mm,
is what the program goes to work on is uh, nobody wants plastic posts, right? Like the world is full of plastic people and plastic posts, and the thing is we're all humans, and so we're all just afraid, we're all afraid to be seen as not
mm,
having it all figured out and all together. And so what we do is we hide behind the facade, or we hide behind it doesn't it's not like it's a malicious thing, right? It's just we hide behind trying to have it all put together, and that doesn't give other people permission to be human. When you show
mm,
up as all put together, other people feel this is why we all hide from each other, because
yeah.
my plastic isn't as good as your plastic. But if we all just came out from behind our mask and we're authentic and real,
Hmm.
this is why the real thing is growing, because people are ready for real. People want real. They don't want
Yeah.
plastic anymore.
So how did you decide to do this? I mean, your company's Groundswell, and I mean, your story is probably longer than you have time to tell us, but it's a really cool story because you were doing things that maybe weren't in alignment with who you were being.
Oh, for years. Yeah. I just, life is such a great teacher. I went down
Diane.
the road of, I got into real estate. That was my background. And I loved people, and I loved leadership, and I loved personal development, but I never really fell in love with the transaction of real estate. And I sold for 6.5 years, and I ran a real estate company for 5. And each phase of life was just another step closer to another notch of alignment. Like just keep getting
Mm,
more and more aligned as life has gone on. And I just kept following what feels true, what feels authentic to me. And then so I got to the spot where I started to understand how I wanted to talk about marketing, teach marketing, how I thought about purpose inside of business. Um, and I was teaching that to real estate agents, and most of the real estate agents I was teaching it to just didn't get it,
mm,
because it's not what's taught in the industry. And so it was this outsider outlier advice that people were like, I don't get it. So when I shifted my audience, and all of a sudden healers, transformational coaches, people who understand that whole dynamic of humanity, they actually got it. And I was like, okay, I'm not, see, I thought I was crazy for so many years
yeah.
because it wasn't
Yeah.
landing, it wasn't resonating. But there was something in me that was like, this can't be wrong.
Mm, mm,
And so I kept doing it, even though even though for years it was like crickets, nobody was responding.
yeah.
Sometimes you have the right message, it's just you're giving it to the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember you said in class, you're talking about how marketing typically has been to please the SEO gods and,
Yeah.
to get Google rankings and to do all those things, which then, yeah, sure, you can attract a whole bunch of stuff leads. We don't want
Right.
leads, but
Right.
that's
Right.
not in resonation with who I am.
Right. 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 Yeah.
And then it's hard because you have to do hard work, right? Because then you have to keep these people happy and you have to
Oh,
continue to be fake, like you said, and plastic with them.
yeah. Right. Yeah. There's all this convincing that you have to do. There's all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
uh contortionist stuff like, oh, let me try to make you happy. But when you're and it's weird because that's the whole premise of like where I come from in marketing is if you will step out from behind your mask, you give people permission to step out from behind their mask,
Mm,
but you have to lead that
yeah.
whole journey as the business, as the marketer, as the person.
Hmm.
And um and if you do, people will step out from behind their mask. And when that happens, you get a really authentic exchange. Like somebody coming in to work with you is coming in way open and way authentic. If you don't do that and you market from having it all figured out and having all the answers and being all put together and it's a perfect hair day and all the stuff, then what happens is people show up behind their mask. And so you never actually know what you're getting. And so if you're trying to please the algorithm gods, congratulations, you got a lead, but you built that lead off of search engine optimization, not off of and keywords and key phrases, not off of authenticity.
Yeah. It's so funny because I know this. I've known this. Don says so true. The need to lead on this. Yes, Don. Um, I've known this, but until you step into it, it's theory, right? And it's just, oh yeah, that would be nice. Wouldn't it be great if? And you challenged me, you have been challenging me to continue to get more real, to continue to do this, even though it feels like I'm overkilling and I'm doing it again and I'm saying it more. But I'm finding it already because I'm attracting people here. Here
Yeah,
we are.
sure.
And this is a closed group right here. So we're all safe. We're all family. Everything we say
Yeah,
here stays here. And that's what I love about this. I have people who are saying, I joined this group, this Get Real. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. And it's funny because I'm like, I don't know either. People, I don't know.
right.
We're figuring it out. There aren't rules. Get out of your rule head,
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. Yeah, you're really good at that. You're really good at holding space for something to unfold, and
Mm,
I think that's awesome. I think that's a part of leadership.
mm,
You're great on leadership. You have so many things under your belt for leadership, from owning regions of franchises to all the other leadership stuff you've done, the books you've written, the
mm.
talks you've given, and that's I think you're bringing that to this group. Like you're so proactive
Yeah.
in leading this group. I really, it takes something to lead a group. Like it takes some, and not lead it as I know you like the metaphor of the circle, right? Like
Yeah.
um and there is a leadership of
Yeah.
the circle, right? Like there is
Yeah.
an initiation of a conversation in the circle, and you're doing that. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So here's somebody who's a Facebook user who we can't tell who it is. You're both making such great points about feeling good and being authentic and in integrity in our business.
Mm,
So that's what we're up to. I mean, that is what we want to do. And that's
yeah.
why coming together with you, Chris, has
Well,
allowed us to multiply our
yeah.
efforts, I think.
One of the things that just popped for me, and that was, like, I will say that marketing is a spiritual practice, which is,
Mm,
I say that in my program. It's a weird thought that marketing would be a spiritual practice, but um, when you realize that your business and your message can make the world a better place by serving people, you start to realize that what really serves people is having real and authentic conversations about life stuff and about the realities of
mm,
life, the realness of life,
mm-hmm.
and not the features and benefits of your products and services, right? It's counterintuitive because you'd think marketing should be about selling, but marketing's not about selling. Marketing's about connection.
Mm,
Marketing's about relationship. And so when you flip that switch and you get that distinction, then what happens is you start to adjust how you show up in your posting to be real, authentic, and make connections, not talk about features and benefits. And so, uh, to do that, you have to constantly think about, what is life teaching me right now? And how do I pay that forward?
mm.
Some people don't market and they don't know what to say because they think they have to have it all figured out before
Yeah.
they say something.
Yeah.
But you don't. All you
Right.
just have to be aware of and present to, what is life teaching you today? And that is a revelation for you. And if you paid it forward and shared it with the rest of us, that would be a very generous act,
Mm.
right? Like in the middle of not having it all figured out, that'd be a very generous act that you would turn around and pay forward what life has already taught you. There was a second piece to that I wanted to say, but it's escaping me right now.
Well, here's a
Anyway,
comment. So Dawn says, I just had this revelation this afternoon on a project.
Nice.
So see,
Awesome.
Dawn and I had a conversation last night on my deck. And
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Mary Jo says marketing is a spiritual practice. Love this.
Yeah.
Diane
I think,
says, go.
yeah.
I'm just going to go through these a little bit.
Yeah.
It takes
Yeah.
guts to try to appeal to a niche versus general public.
Yeah.
Diane is a Keller Williams agent in Maryland,
Oh, nice.
Chris. So, and she's doing some really unique things in her being. Diane, I'm going to just talk about you for a second if you're here. Diane is a dog rescuer. So she is
nice.
the person who takes dogs from a place that they are needing to find new shelter, and she goes and drives them. She goes all over the East Coast, and she's really committed to this. And her clients love her for that. And she's creating this space, and she's using a real estate practice to do that.
I feel like that was the second thought was, one, if the foundation of marketing is that it's a spiritual practice and it's about connection, not selling, then marketing could actually leave the world better than we found it, which is a weird thought, because most people's relationship to marketing is one that needs healing, not one that feels empowering, right? But if what we're doing in marketing is sharing authentically from behind our mask about what life is teaching us, and we're depositing that into social channels, your blog, wherever you're putting that, that actually raises the vibration or the frequency of humanity, because we're interacting with your authenticity, and that makes the world better. So marketing actually becomes this thing that makes the world a better place, not this thing that takes and manipulates, right? And
yeah, that is huge, Chris, because I think the word that just popped in my head was sleazy marketing.
Right.
It has to be slick and polished and fake and plastic, right? And that's not the way you are being about it, and that's not the way we are in the class. That's not what we're learning. And so people are saying, Portia says, business with heart speaks to my soul. I love that.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
It's about connection. And everybody, I didn't mean to do this, but I need to talk about Chris for a second, because this is going to impact the world through me and my business. I'm not sure exactly yet how, because that comes in the next class, which I will be starting eventually. But there's so much I've learned about myself in these 5 weeks that is going to allow me to step in and out from behind the mask. And then through your show, my show, I have my second episode just dropped tonight for the what is it called? Circle Up and Get Real is the name of the podcast. And all of that, I anticipate, Chris, there's going to be something we're going to be doing together at some point somewhere, you and I don't know what it is, but something, because there's a lot to be done here, you guys. When you think about what Chris just said about marketing being a spiritual practice, nobody's thought about that before. Nobody said that before. And so think about what the world needs in that space when we all need to market our businesses. Dawn works in a small community where she's the executive director of a nonprofit where whatever project you were working on today, Dawn, she actually helps small communities find the funding and money to create amazingness. But she has challenges because she's got these, Dawn, I'm speaking out of turn, but we're a family. She's got old people who have done things a certain way forever and ever, the way they've always done it, that she's up against because they need to sign off on things she's working on. And it's very frustrating when she's got these amazing ideas and she's a leader. And I think because she's a woman, I'm just going to say it, Dawn, these old guys are intimidated by her. And so she finds herself up against some roadblocks that would the city and communities in her part of the state would benefit immensely from. Dawn says, go for it. So I can talk about her. Yay.
Nice.
But it's just, I think, Dawn, for you, things like what Chris and I have been working on would be so helpful, because there's just so much that you could do when you're freed up, I think.
Everybody has a one of the things that was so important about the finding the right tribe for me was that my dog was whining. I was like, where is she? There is everybody has important work to do. Like this tribe has important work. Like this tribe has gone far enough in their life journey to have seen the pursuits of their past that weren't as fulfilling. And now they're able, like, for example, you could be a real estate agent who's on the East Coast who's doing dog rescue, you're starting to tap into the deeper things that actually matter to you in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that type of important work, this is why marketing this way makes the world a better place, because now you're speaking to the world in a way of you're paying forward the lessons life has given you, and you're sharing about these discoveries, these revelations you've made. And when you have that, it inspires that in me.
Mm-hmm.
I start to think, well, where am I not stepping into purpose? I've always thought about dog rescue. I actually haven't, but I'm saying like you start sharing about things,
right?
And I go, where is that in me? Like, why am I settling? Why am I not entertaining that? Where am I following the rules of people and not my own creation? Like, so anyway.
That's so big for me. And Chris, I think some of the ways that you share in the class. So what will happen is Chris shares and then we talk, and then he shares and we talk. And it's almost like I can only speak for me, but it's like you're saying my stuff. I mean, you and I have such parallel journeys.
Right. Yeah.
And it's funny because it's just permission to be me. Yeah. So Dawn says, that's the difference for your statement, Crystal, finding your tribe. You may need to align with different people that share your values. So Dawn must be talking to Crystal, who must be on here. But yeah, finding people who share your values. Dawn invited like 50 people to this tribe last night or yesterday. Awesome. And a lot of them showed up today, Dawn, because of you. So this is how this works.
There is a thing about, well, I already said it, but to Dawn's point, like the right message with the wrong people doesn't land, and so you'll start to think you're crazy. You'll start to think like, did I get this wrong? Like, am I nuts? What am I doing this for? And sometimes it's just, and maybe it was Dawn earlier who said like it can be scary to get specific in a niche versus being general. But once you taste the resonance that comes from speaking to a specific group and that they fully receive it and love it, then you go, oh, I'm never going back. I'm never going back, because to market to a general audience that doesn't get it is exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
And I would rather have a handful of people who get it in a smaller niche than market to the world that doesn't get it. A handful of people will give you this encouragement you don't get anywhere else. You get encouragement when you speak and people get it. You're like, oh, they get it. Like, and that is really encouraging.
Yeah. Portia says, the right message to the wrong people. Good aha for me today. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Portia.
So we've got another, hi, Jody and Chris, and I don't know who you are. Apparently, Dawn, you figured out, and Chris, you figured out how to make yourself known here. You have to hit something. There's like something you have to click on that says.
There was a thing, well, you had sent me the one thing, which was different. In your text of this post, there was like a StreamYard.com/whatever.
Okay, so StreamYard, you have to accept Diane Donnelly, 100%. So she's the dog rescuer person. So you guys who I don't know, I don't mean to be rude, but it just says Facebook user, and I can't tell who you are. So hi, we're saying hi to you, but we don't know who you are.
Hey,
so
Facebook
this is
user.
Fun. This is really fun. This is a fun platform. And Portia says you have to allow it to show your name. So you have to hit something that says, yes, I allow it. And don't be afraid, because we're all friends here. And Dawn says you have to click on the link in your post. So whoever is the Facebook user, that's what we have to do. And we're learning. This is brand new as of, 2 hours ago. So
I think you said once you do it once, you won't have to do it again. Like,
correct. Yep.
Yeah. So anytime in the future, like it'll just show up that way.
Yep.
That's cool.
And I just invited you, Chris. I can make it look a little different. If I want to, I can do that.
If I turn my phone this way, does it change my aspect ratio?
Yep. I can have 3 people. We can go big, little. We can share slides. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this.
It's so fancy.
Oh, no. When I put did you see the?
I think better like this because my eyes hit the camera better.
Okay. And then I put the real circle up in the corner.
Nice. Yeah.
So we got a little logo there.
A little StreamYard.
Yeah, right. It's kind of cool. Yeah. I was checking out different ways to do this, and then the other one I have is ManyCam, and I like this one better than ManyCam. It seemed easier to figure out, so I invested in both, so I have a year subscription to both of these now. If anybody wants to use them,
I was. Well, you tell me what you want to do. I had this thought I was going to share.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know what your timeline is.
I got nothing but time. Come on, we're in quarantine. What else do
We're
we have to
hanging
do
out.
here?
This, well,
Right.
I'm picturing myself in a red chair in your driveway right
I
now.
know. Yeah, don't you love that? My red chair driveway dialogue. Yeah.
I was my second program that I teach. So after my first program, which is about how do you find your message and then share that message with the world. The second program is about how do you design and deliver your programs, your online programs, and so I was teaching that today, and we got into today's class was about deliver. How do you deliver the program? And so many online programs that I have bought and that I've seen just deliver information. Right? You can think of all sorts of things like Skillshare, Udemy, all kinds of courses that are teaching how to create courses. It's all just information delivery. And so when I talk about delivery, it's really important that and so this is extra credit here. I'm giving you all extra credit.
Yeah.
But it's important because it relates back to our earlier conversation. And that is that everybody, we're all living behind masks and we're afraid to look at where we're stuck. We're afraid to acknowledge the facts of where we're stuck, and we're afraid to acknowledge the feelings of being stuck there. And so, at least for me, I spent a lot of my life trying to stay, if you want to put this in like the law of attraction and stuff, trying to stay in a high vibration and all the things, and afraid that if I were to actually look in my shadow and see the dragons living there, that I would hurt my vibration and I would cause things to not be attracted to me. And so I've always been a glass half full kind of guy. But one of the major shifts that happened for me, and it's one of the things that made my marketing start to resonate, when in the past it didn't, because in the past my marketing always came from the possibility of things. But the possibility of things has no weight or no context if you don't talk about the problem of things.
Yeah.
And so most people in their marketing talk about the happy stuff, but it's not framed in any sort of madness and misery. So in my programs, you see, I'll teach what is the madness and misery people are experiencing, because if you don't address that, the cup half full doesn't matter. There's no context for that. And so you have to start to get really good at delivering your marketing and delivering your programs in the context of where people are stuck. Yeah. And you have to get really good at accessing some tough love, right? Most of us are very generous in giving people space to feel their feelings. And so there's this new skill set or delivery way of delivering things that comes from a place of let's get real, back to the group, right? Let's get real about the things that aren't working, because once we get real, now we have a foundation that we can build upon. And this is why marketing this way works, because if you're marketing from, some ivory tower, people are like, well, that's good for you, but I'm over here, meanwhile, in my life that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. You don't connect.
Yeah, right. I'm pretending like my life doesn't suck, but because I don't want to look at that right now, because that's uncomfortable for me. I don't know what to do about that. But that's exactly why you have to address it. So in the delivery of things, you've got to go, I call it slaying dragons. You just got to go in and you've got to deal with and look at the things that are there. So anyway, I got super deep today in the class.
That's okay. Dawn has a question, though, that I think will be helpful here. So her question is, how do you share that vulnerability without appearing emotional? I get stuck on sharing the problems or issues without having a sense of emotion to it that can be a turnoff to others or too feminine.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the emotion is where the power is, frankly. Right? Like, isn't it interesting that we've spent our lifetime learning how to choke it down, put a lid on it. Don't freak people out. Your emotions are too much for people. Like, don't show that. It shows weakness. There's this huge thing about emotions equal weakness, right?
Yeah.
But do you know that I just made a post this morning. The post this morning I wrote was the reason why we like to see people fight and argue or watch a movie and cry is because it puts us in touch with our own suppressed feelings. So when you actually dig deep for the courage to share from your emotions, it connects to us. There's something that it unlocks in us. And while the world, who's too afraid to be exposed as plastic, right? Because the plastic people are going to be like, you shouldn't do that. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
those are bad optics. People are going to think you're weak. Great. Those are all the people living behind plastic. Meanwhile, the rest of us just want to have a human experience.
Right.
And when you show up as a human, emotions are the most human thing.
Mm. So do you want to answer this one? I'll let you have this one because I think I know what I would say to Dawn. She says, but my emotion may come from frustration.
Sometimes that's even better. Like, it doesn't matter if the emotion is happy emotion, angry emotion. It doesn't matter. Like, the thing you want to be careful about with the frustration, though, right, is you want to make sure that you always come from radical responsibility. Because if it's frustration and it's pointing fingers, now you're not owning it, right? The seat of power, the place of power, is always coming from, how is this how am I at the source of this frustration?
Mm-hmm.
You could look at current events, right? You could look at quarantines. You could look at
Minneapolis.
George Floyd. You could look at, yeah, you could look at all kinds of current events and be frustrated about things, right? But those are surface level dragons, because underneath that, underneath the circumstance, and underneath Republicans, and underneath Democrats, and underneath police officers, and underneath the circumstance of it all, there is, what am I doing about any of it? Where am I at the seat of power in this? Because if we never access our own power, then we're always a victim of circumstance. So for example, when I share vulnerably, when I share from my own life where I failed or where I'm failing, by the way, I don't always share from a place of having figured it out. Sometimes I'll just share the place I'm stuck. The place that makes it helpful for others, the place that it serves others. You know, it's one thing to rant and be frustrated, and so your post is just a rambling rant. But what makes it serve others is if you can find the lesson in it. If you don't find the lesson in it, then you're just complaining. But if you can be frustrated about something and say, what is going on? Like, this is where I keep coming back to. Like, I need to look deeper in my own. Let's use the whole circumstance of George Floyd for a minute, because if I just look at my own fears, I feel like I have a really big calling on my life. I feel like I have really big things to do, but I've gotten really comfortable at the level that I'm doing my work. And in order for me to go bigger in that work, I would have to look at the things I'm terrified to do. I'm terrified to do some of the things that I feel like I'm going to have to do that would match my calling. I can share vulnerably. I've played at that level long enough now to where that's comfortable for me. But to go confront systems of things, to confront group think of things, the way things are of things, societal norms of things, that scares me. I don't want to be a martyr. But at the same time, I realize there's something more available for us. We don't have to be the kind of species that put our knee on someone's neck that they then die because they can't. Like that comes from somebody, whoever that person was, has dragons in their life that they haven't addressed. And so what happens is when you can't be in touch with your own emotions, this goes back to the emotion question. When you can't be in touch with your own emotions, it comes out sideways, and it comes out in raging fashion. And it's finger pointing. But if that dude, that person, that police officer had dealt with his own dragons, that and made peace there, then what happens is he would have taken responsibility for his own dragons. What happens is he shows up as a different human now in the world. And so you can share from frustration, you can share from anger, you can share from rage, you can share from sadness, you can share from grieving. But you have to find the responsibility in it. Right. Where is my circumstance, my frustration, my own fears? Because you realize that your frustrations come from your own fears. So what are the fears? Don't just tell me that you're mad at them and point the finger at them. What is that about? What is that exposing in you? Because when you can expose it, then you reflect it back to me in your post, I can see it for myself. But if you come at me with pointing fingers, then it just becomes a pointing finger match.
Gotcha. That's really big, you guys. I hope you heard that. I think Diane heard this. So here's what Diane has given us. Rapport. And rapport defined is a close and harmonious relationship in which the people or groups concerned understand each other's feelings or ideas. I love this part, and communicate well.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking
Yeah.
for, I think, rapport.
Yeah.
There's the rapport that happened in Minneapolis last night. Oh, Chris, it's tragic.
Yeah.
There's like a whole
Yeah.
section of town that's burned and looted and everything. It's just,
Yeah.
it's horrible. And that's the way they found rapport, was to get together in a lynch mob, basically, and burn down their city. And
Yeah.
I don't understand that from my perspective, because I'm not there in, the demons and the dragons. I'm not there in myself. I don't get it.
Right.
But if I try to be compassionate, it's hard to be compassionate about that. But they're looking for, like you said, this guy didn't excise his own demons, and he felt the need to put his knee on the guy's neck.
Yeah.
And now that's inciting all of these other people who have these pent up rage for so long.
It's so, what we're experiencing right now is the breakdown before the breakthrough. Assuming there will be a breakthrough, right? Mm-hmm. I have hope. I'm a cup half full kind of guy, but you can't get to the breakthrough without having the breakdown. And what we've been in breakdown. We haven't been in breakdown. We've been in numbness and medication for decades. Mm-hmm. We've been, checked out from life for decades. Suppressing our emotions, that's part of it. When you suppress emotions, what happens is rage builds. It's the rage that causes looting. Looting happens and riots happen because rage is building up, right? There's no other outlet. Mm-hmm. Nobody's there to listen or hear or understand. And so there is this rage, and we all have it. Some are more oppressed, suppressed, judged than others. And so you can see in the conversation of race, there's, as a white male who has all kinds of white privilege, I don't have the same rage in surrounding my life. Mm-hmm, I have rage. I got plenty of rage, but it's not nearly to the level that somebody else who's lived under a suppression, not only their own suppression, but then the suppression of a society. That's a double whammy, right? Like, you've got your own feelings that you keep suppressing because it's not safe to express them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you've got societal expectations that you have to be a certain way in order for us to feel safe around you. Mm-hmm. And now you've got a whole other thing happening. Mm-hmm. And so there's just way more pent up rage. But as humans, we all have rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where understanding starts to happen, because when you can understand that we all have emotion. And then back to the question about marketing from emotion. When you understand that we all have emotion, that's actually one of our strengths. But if you suppress it, it comes out sideways as rage.
Wow. So allowing people to have a safe space, that's what I hope we're doing in the Get Real Circle, is allowing a safe space to work through some of those, let's just call them shadows. I don't know if we need to go dragons and demons, but the shadows, it could be if it's suppressed too long. But this is a place where you guys, I hope you feel that you can do this. One person I don't know came in and said something today, and she said, I can tell already this is a place I need to be. And I don't know her. I know people who know her, and you guys, I want this to be that. So anybody who's here watching this live or watching it later, that's why I wanted to come on tonight, so I could give a little bit more context to why this was created. And it was created out of the project that I'm working on with Chris. And I was telling them before you got on, Chris, that I didn't know what I was sending people to. You have to do this thing, where you're sending people to a call to action. And I didn't really have a call to action, so I had to create something. And I created this Facebook group on Thursday, the 14th, 2 weeks ago today. And we're at 706 members when I looked tonight. So I think the pent up rage, or maybe not rage, but the pent up need for belonging, the longing to be, is there for people. And I want this to be a place for them.
Yes, totally. And I feel like the path to realness is part of that path is through the feelings of things. I'm a master suppressor. I'm awesome at suppressing feelings. I've done it for my entire adult life, even my childhood life, because it was how I survived. But as I'm starting to get in touch with the things I've suppressed and the stories I have surrounding the things I suppress, right? Like, the reason you suppress feelings is because you have a story that it's not okay to have them. Mm-hmm. or it's not okay to be a certain way. It's not like whatever, all that. So you start to realize and uncover that in order for you to be real, you would have to expose who you really are. And to expose who you really are, you'd have to get to the feelings and the stories that you've created to protect yourself. But your stories that you created to protect yourself are not actually who you are.
Right. Right. It's the armor around you. It's the armor around who you, or the mask, as you've been saying.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is good stuff. You guys, if anybody's interested in learning more about this, I'm highly going to recommend that if you are looking for a way to market yourself, think about what you could learn from Chris. I want to make sure that we don't make Get Real a sales place, a place where we sell stuff, because I think it's more important that you find somebody you connect with and then you talk to them offline. So I just want to make Chris available to you if it's something you'd like to dig a little bit deeper in. Diane, I think it would really be cool for you. Portia too, because I know what you guys are up to. You're coaches and real estate people, but you're leaders. And Dawn too. Anybody, just reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with Chris. Well, actually, we're all in the family. You can find each other.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So
all in the family, all in the circle.
On the circle. What a fun little activity tonight, Chris. This is cool. I was saying before you got on, I want to do like an Oprah talk show, like the Red Share dialogues or something
nice.
like that.
Under the Oaks or whatever.
Yeah, that's what she does. Yeah. But
Under the Oaks.
Yeah, I had another dialogue on the driveway yesterday with 3 people.
Oh, nice.
But it was hot. Nice.
I can see you having a TV crew and a mic and everybody's mic'd up and bring some fancy chairs out into your driveway.
Yeah. I know, and we'll do chalk drawing while we're out there because that's what I've been doing lately. Hi, puppy. What's your puppy's name?
This is Ellie.
Hi, Ellie. Hi, Ellie. Ellie.
She's not allowed on this couch, but I don't know if you can see, she's trying to sit on my lap. Her front paws are.
She looks like a lap dog. Yes.
Yeah, right. An 80-pound lap dog.
Right. Sure. Well, thanks, Chris. You go back and be with your puppy, and thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks everybody.
We'll do it again. Take care.
Yeah, it was fun. See ya.
See ya.